We're four students sailing around the Atlantic on a journey of discovery, seeking insight, drawing comparisons.
The Atlantic is really a huge zone of exchange. Ideas, cultures, and language have made their way across its vast reaches with amazing impact.
Spanish and Portuguese managed to diffuse from the small Iberian Peninsula and establish presences throughout Africa and the Americas.
But the languages haven't only spread. They've meshed with local influences and cultures. They've become unique to their new homes and are now tied to people's identities and expression.
As we travel the Atlantic the same way these languages did, we talk to people and discover not only the spread and evolution of Spanish and Portuguese, but their beauty and significance to each of their speakers.
Where is Portuguese spoken? Países que falam português. Where countries that speak Portuguese? Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, São Tomé, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde.
I grew up in northern Portugal. It was easier for me to understand Brazilian Portuguese than it was to understand Azorean Portuguese.
Oi, meu nome é Tristan da Silva, eu nasci nos Estados Unidos, meus pais são de Goiânia, Goiás, e eu amo o país do Brasil muito, muito, muito. So here's the capital of Brazil, right there, Brasilia, and my family is from this city right here, Goiânia, and it's in the state of Goiás. So this whole area right about here is Goiás, and so they're like 15-20 minutes from the capital.
Okay, my name is Sergio Carvalho. I'm from the northeast part of Brazil. It's considered the poorest region of Brazil, and it's from the state called Ceará, a city called Fortaleza, that is the fifth largest city in Brazil, 3.5 million people.
Okay.
We discovered Portuguese has significant regional differences.
So she often, I'll use a vocabulary word that I know from Lisbon and she won't recognize it. So there are differences north and south as well.
The Portuguese spoken in the Portuguese islands, in the Azores and in Madeira, also has its own characteristics. Okay, very different accent from what you get in the mainland.
When we hear a carioca, that is the person that was born in Rio, to speak, we more or less, by the accent, we know they are from Rio. People from São Paulo, and São Paulo is just a state next to Rio, we hear them talking things with the R very strong, like porta. And then we know, we say in my state, for example, we say porta. In São Paulo, they would say porta. And then we know it's from São Paulo.
But Portuguese has even stronger international differences.
To me, Brazilian Portuguese versus continental European Portuguese. It's like British English and American English, okay? You mutually understand each other, though the Brazilians claim to have a harder time understanding the European Portuguese than we do. And there are different choices of words.
City.
Cidade.
Cidade. Soccer.
Futebol.
Futebol. Kick the ball.
Pontapé.
Chutar. Chute. A very useful one. Bathroom.
Casa de banho.
Bathroom in Brazil. Banheiro. Cool. That was really cool.
Fish.
Don't even pronounce that in Brazil. The word cool is not appropriate in Portuguese in Brazil, but would be legal, yeah.
But those are all words that coexist in the world of Portuguese, right? So we can communicate freely.
Even though there are vast differences in the language, Portuguese is still united, loved, and seen as one.
Brazilian Portuguese has a musicality, okay? that European Portuguese doesn't. I don't think I'm the first one to say this, and I think you'll find other people agree in general.
It's a beautiful language. I particularly am fond of Brazilian Portuguese. It's so smooth and like passionate and very romantic language.
There's a pattern to how Brazilians speak that we really like. Okay, it's endearing, it's sweet.
It's not as harsh, I suppose. Sometimes the Portuguese language from Portugal can seem very like amigos, like that, and Portuguese from Brazil tends to be more light and inviting.
When I think of Brazilian Portuguese, I think wave. Okay. When I think of European Portuguese, I think
de Rayuela, capítulo 7. Me miras, de cerca me miras, cada vez más de cerca. Y entonces jugamos al cíclope. Miramos cada vez.
But the Spanish we encountered around the Atlantic was just as colorful.
Hola, me llamo Alfredo Ziegler, soy de la Ciudad de México.
My name is Mariana Hernandez Johannessen, I'm from Costa Rica.
Hola, me llamo Alberto Rodríguez, soy de República Dominicana.
Hi, I'm Magdalena Arecos, I'm from Argentina.
To explore the different accents, we had native Spanish speakers read a poem, Poeta Duro by Miguel Barnett.
Quisiera ser un poeta duro, cantar a la pureza del idioma.
Exaltar la palabra desnuda, la que rige solo en el poema.
La palabra alondra, por ejemplo. Tan musical
que parece que tuviera un eco de ondas celestiales, pero que va.
La época es de combates terribles.
Y el mundo no quiere aliarse a la 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, tierra, cielo, 5, 6, para.
Spanish is a really expressive language. It's really descriptive, it's rich in adjectives and adverbs, and it's a really romantic and flowy language.
It's influential as well as influenced. It influences other languages. For example, I mentioned, and it is influenced, the word chocolate is actually a great example. We get the word chocolate from the Nahuatl word chocolate, I believe. And Spanish picked that up to be chocolate.
The sentences are longer than sentences in English.
Spanish in Costa Rica is very different than in most other Latin American countries, especially Central America, because we've had a lot of influences from the US and European countries. So unlike most Latin American countries, we don't pronounce the R's like by rolling them, or pronounce them like Americans do, let's say. So they constantly make fun of that, I guess.
In Argentina and Uruguay, they have really different accent. So it's way harder to understand Argentinians and Uruguayans than Spanish people, because they have this tone in their voice when they speak, which kind of confuses me sometimes, because they speak also really fast.
When we are a group of Argentines, we tend to speak fast. Yes.
Then we can also talk about Argentina, and we have a lot of European influence, in particular Italians. And so the Spanish that we talk about being from Argentina, it's very melodic. And it goes up and down very much like Italian does, which is very different than more of a monotone, I guess, Spanish that you get elsewhere.
They'll make fun of each other's little, particular things that are from that country. Like, I don't really notice them much, but when I do hear them, I'm like, oh, that's so Mexican, or oh, that's so Dominican.
Me llamo Alberto Rodríguez, soy de República Dominicana. Hola, me llamo Alberto Rodríguez y soy del norte de España. Hola, me llamo Alberto Rodríguez y soy del sur de España. Hola, me llamo Alberto Rodríguez y soy de Argentina.
El acento de México ya, no sé, los ubicamos, ya cuando los escuchamos hablar ya sabemos que son mexicanos.
Both Colombian and Mexican Spanish are said to be like the best like the proper Spanish in America, because we don't have like really the use of slangs or other words like that.
But slang gives every variant of Spanish a unique flavor.
Almost every word is mispronounced, or there's always letters that are not pronounced. Sentence structure is horrible. It's mostly slang at all times.
We have a particular slang that's called pachuco, and it's like the street Spanish, which it's a lot of fun.
How do you say cool in Spanish?
Que guay. How do you say when something's cool in Argentina?
Que está buenísimo.
This is how you say cool in Uruguay.
Está de más. El propio. Gozado. Está de fiesta.
En la rayuela o en la vida, vos podés elegir un día, porque costaré de qué lado saltarás.
Okay, my name is Siviwe, and I learned an extra language which is very, very scarce to find in South Africa, and this language is Spanish. Before we host the World Cup here, we were going to host lots of people who come from different countries which speak Spanish, more especially the countries from South America like Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, Mexico, Spain, Argentina. So we needed people who can help these guys to go around. So I applied for a scholarship and they sent me to Spain and Santander, and that's where I learned my Spanish. So ahora yo hablo un poco español. Necesito practicar, pero aquí en Sutet al Capo, no personas que hablen español, especialmente en el township.
Okay, hablas bien. Hablas muy bien. You're from Western Africa?
I'm from West Africa, en Guinea-Bissau. Aprendí español porque en mi tierra, en Guinea-Bissau, el gobierno pone una escuela de turismo, porque como la joven no ha trabajo en Guinea-Bissau, el turismo, si se habla mucha lengua, se trabaja en recepcionista.
Okay.
Por eso yo tengo la oportunidad de aprender el idioma en universidad y no se paga.
Definirlo de nuevo y mejor.
Me gusta muchísimo la lengua, la literatura, la cultura hispanohablante, digamos, que no solamente de la península de España, sino también de Latinoamérica.
Español es una lengua muy hermosa.
Me gusta español porque mucha gente habla español por todo el mundo.
El español me encanta porque une a la gente. Español es un idioma muy bonito y me gusta porque es intenso y romántico.
Para mí el español une a las personas, no importa de dónde seas, siempre tenemos el idioma y el idioma nos une. Así hice mis mejores amigos acá y creo que en general todos los que hablamos español tenemos una conexión que es muy diferente a cualquier otro idioma.